Hi, Patrick here, Half Cheetah Will View, and I'm here to continue our Tubi Tuesday series. We are talking about A Man Called Hawk that came out in 1989. It was a spinoff of another show called Spencer for Hire. The series were based on books and characters by Robert B. Parker. So by now, this is going to be the sixth episode that we're covering. We are almost at the halfway point as the series only lasted 13 episodes. That's it. It was canceled the same year that it was premiered. Um, and I mentioned earlier about the numbers, the Nielsen numbers. This is back before streaming and cable were prevalent. And so the numbers for the show back then would be a monster hit today. But back then, they weren't that strong, considering, and so the show was canceled after 13 episodes. Um, Boy, I just can't get over looking at some of the Nielsen numbers. They look like, holy crow, if you'd been around today, this show would be like everywhere. Um, but uh, but it wasn't, and it isn't. But we still have it. Um, and so this episode is called Vendetta. And one of the cool things about covering this series is talking about some of the actors that were in the show. But first, before we get into that, we'll talk a little bit about the episode because this one's tragic. This is not a typical come in, save the day, ride off on the white horse, or in Hawk's case, the Beamer. This one had some push to it, and it features Hawk's cousin coming into Washington D.C. He's coming in from Atlantic City, and his name is Jesse Turner, and he's his cousin, and he's coming in hot because he's got a world of trouble coming behind him. It seems like Jesse has fallen in love with a mobster's girl named Anna, and that the young lady also heisted $100,000 from this mobster named Joe Dayton. And so they run, and Joe Dayton is after them. And unfortunately for Jesse, he's had a history of, well, he's a very talented horn player, but he also gets into a lot of pickles. And more often than not, Hawk has also had to help him out in the past. Um, we can see that Hawk recognizes and respects him as blood, but I'm not really particularly sure that he really likes Jesse too much because of all the drama he brings with him. Well, anyway, he tells him what's going on, and Hawk knows that the gangster Joe Dayton happens to be in town, so he goes pays Joe a visit, and he basically tells him, "Hey, back off. I know what's going on. He's my cousin, and so just leave him alone. Let me do my thing." And he emphasizes that. Well, after that, of course, he finds Jesse a safe house. He has a lot of contacts in D.C. Finds him a safe house, and then he starts to investigate. What's going on? Where's this girl at? And as he's doing this, lo and behold, an old friend of his comes to town, a gentleman named Slater, who was in the game with Hawk. I got the feeling that Max Slater um, was he was not in the army per se. I think he was in. Well, maybe he was, but he's known as a very well-respected assassin. And Hawk knows this. He knows Slater. They've known each other for a little bit. They have respect for each other. And Slater basically tells Hawk that he's on the other side of the Angels, and he wants to use Hawk's contacts in the Justice Department to help out. He's looking to help out his daughter because Max Slater is not very well, and so he wants to basically sell some information to the Justice Department to keep his little girl safe. Well, that's the story. The story is a little bit more twisted than that, and unfortunately, it brings Slater and Hawk into contact with each other in a most tragic way. And Hawk is he's forced to act, both out of family and both out of revenge. But he knows that all is not what it seems to be in this case, that Slater was being was being pushed into a confrontation with Hawk. And the reason why and how is the key to the story. And Hawk comes in to help Slater out, even though it costs him tremendously. All right, like I said, this is not your typical 45 minute. Like I said, come on in, see the bad guy, beat the bad guy, save the girl, right off to the sunset. This one had consequences to it, and it was very interesting. Very interesting to see. What's really cool about this is exactly the heavyweights that are in this show. This episode here, playing Max Slater, Delroy Lindo. Delroy Lindo played Max Slater in this. So you already got already a legend. Well, to add on to that legend, you have none other than Keith David, who played Jesse Turner, Hawk's cousin. Keith David and Delroy Lindo. Oh, and making one of his early appearances in any show, though he only appeared uncredited, so he didn't have any speaking lines, William Fichtner. From The Perfect Storm and Drive Angry. Jeez, that guy's been in so many great movies. It was just one of his early roles. He played a henchman. So that's one cool thing about watching these shows like this, is like seeing all the faces coming back up, and early in their career. Fortunately, everybody's still kicking. Avery Brooks, Keith David, Delroy Lindo, and of course William Fichtner all have had very successful careers. Very dynamic, a lot of award winners. So it was a lot of fun watching this episode. I will say this. As badass as Keith David was, and They Live, as bad as that was, and him and Roddy Piper, man, would I have loved to seen a different casting than that? I would have loved to seen Avery Brooks play the Keith David part. Somehow, I think the whole movie would have changed. Overall, though, this is one of the better episodes. Again, this show was really strongly written and acted. The acting is just really good. The fight scenes were a little bit better here. The little bit of gunplay, a little bit better. It was better than the last episode, so that was good to see. Hawk is being Hawk. Avery Brooks is in full power. Just amazing the way he can handle dialogue. Just a memorable, iconic character, and one that we don't talk about enough. But Hawk is a true badass. All right, we will. This series is currently on Tubi for free. I don't know how long it's going to be there. Hopefully, it's going to be lasting long enough for me to go all through all of it. I might be starting next week. I might be starting 2 episodes a week, because I don't want it to go away, and I'm still stuck, still have it there. So I think I'm going to be doing 2 episodes starting next week, or this week, even this week. So if you're new to the channel and you like what you hear, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, drop a comment down below, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. The like button's really important, so please do that. Leave a comment down below. I will get to you. If you leave a comment, I will come by and say hi. I appreciate you coming by and supporting the channel, and we will talk to you for the next one. A Man Called Hawk. You can get this series too, by the way, on Warner Brother Archives. You can find that in Amazon. All right, that's it for me. We will talk to you next Tubi Tuesday. Peace.